I should have spoken. I should have yelled. I should have stormed out, slamming doors, shaking the marble walls with the fury I felt. But I didn't. I sat frozen as my billionaire father's lawyer finished reading the will. My brother's name glowed like a neon sign. Millions. Not just millions. He'd inherited everything that could define a life, everything that screamed success. And me? $10. $10. The room felt smaller. Suddenly suffocating. The walls, the chandelier, even the air itself seemed complicit. My wife, seated beside me, tilted her head, her eyes sharp, calculating. She smirked, the kind of smirk that pierces flesh. I always knew you were a failure, doctor. Her words were a blade, precise, clean. She stood, high heels clicking against the marble like the countdown to my undoing, and left. No hand on my arm, no hesitation, just departure. My brother laughed. A short, cruel bark, the sound of a man who had won the genetic lottery of privilege. I didn't say a word. I stared at the crumpled $10 bill in my hand. There was something different about it. Something subtle, almost imperceptible. My father's signature was smudged, a mark at the edge that caught the light. I turned it over again, slow, deliberate. I didn't understand it fully yet, but I knew it wasn't an accident. My father had left me a message. The drive home was silent. The city blurred past, a smear of gray and gold. I watched my reflection in the rearview mirror and studied the calm mask I had perfected over the years. Inside, a storm raged. Betrayal, shame, anger. Every betrayal I'd ever endured crystallized in that moment. My wife's smirk, my brother's laugh, my father's favoritism, they all fed a fire I had buried too long. I made no move that night. I ate my dinner in silence. The taste was bitter and metallic. I went to bed, but sleep eluded me. My mind churned. It didn't scream. It didn't cry. It planned. I started quietly, research, investigation, patient observation. My brother's life was open to me like a poorly written book. His investments, the companies he controlled blindly, the people he trusted without scrutiny, all of it exposed. I made mental notes. Every weakness, every indulgence, every tiny ridiculous arrogance. I watched him interact with staff. He barked orders, laughed at incompetence, dismissed loyalty. I logged it. Every name, every incident, every slight and condescension was catalogued. My wife remained at a distance. I let her believe I was brooding in silence, licking my wounds. Her calls went unanswered. Her texts ignored. Every glance she threw my way was returned with the calm of a man holding the calm before a storm. I knew my father's cryptic mark on the $10 bill was a key. I spent nights examining it under a magnifying glass and microscope. Tiny, almost invisible numbers, coordinates, serial codes, a trail my father had hidden for a reason. I followed it step by careful step. It led me to a safe deposit box. Not in my father's name, not in my brother's. In a trust my father had established decades ago, one my brother had never been smart enough or curious enough to discover. Inside, documents, signatures, assets, options, everything to make me untouchable if I played my cards right. I didn't rush. Patience was my ally. My brother thrived on haste, emotion, greed. I thrived on calculation, control, and silence. Step 1, credibility. I cultivated it publicly, calm, composed, almost apologetic. I allowed my wife's snide comments to continue, nodded through my brother's petty jabs. I smiled when required. I even congratulated him once on a minor business win, sincere in the facade. Every act of patience built my image as the harmless, defeated sibling. Step 2, leverage. I quietly bought stakes in his businesses through shell companies. Tiny at first, unnoticeable. Every acquisition invisible, legal, perfect. I positioned myself to have influence in ways he could not see coming. Staff who had been loyal to me before, disillusioned by my apparent failure, I quietly rewarded. I made allies in his inner circle. Step 3, Exposure. I collected everything, the financial mismanagement, the risky contracts, the betrayals of key clients. I built a dossier that could topple his empire, and I kept it secret. Not a leak, not a threat, just a silent arsenal, waiting for the moment of perfection. Step 4, Patience. I let him grow complacent. His arrogance made him predictable. Every indulgence he made, every reckless decision was logged, analyzed, and turned into opportunity. His empire expanded, yes, but with every step, the cracks deepened. The day came quietly. I walked into the bank where he held power over millions. The manager recognized me, hesitated, and then froze. I held up the $10 bill my father had marked. I believe my father left me something. The manager swallowed. Eyes darted, sweat forming at the hairline. Papers shuffled, whispers exchanged. I smiled, the calmest I had ever been. No one moved. No one dared. By the end of the day, the first domino had fallen. Accounts frozen, transfers halted, legal obligations enforced. And my brother called, frantic, voice shaking. My wife's calls went unanswered. Panic is loud. I am quiet. Step 5, Escalation. I didn't humiliate publicly. No need. I allowed consequences to bloom slowly. Clients withdrew. Investors questioned loyalty. Partners reconsidered contracts. His empire trembled from within, invisible, unstoppable. Each step calculated, precise, as if invisible hands were guiding the collapse. Step 6, Isolation. I had aligned people who had been overlooked, ignored, mistreated by him. They had power. They had grudges. They had access. I became the silent architect of his downfall while remaining the victim the world believed I was. Step 7, Confrontation. I didn't need theatrics. The empire was already crumbling. He reached out, voice laced with desperation, ego cracking. I met him at the office he believed was untouchable. I offered no gloating smile, no snide remark, just calm. It seems your position isn't as secure as you thought. The look in his eyes was recognition, terror, disbelief. Every contact, every ally I had cultivated, every financial lever I had pulled, they were all aligned. He realized too late that the quiet sibling he dismissed was the hand that controlled the fall. Step 8, Closure. I didn't just reclaim what was mine. I made sure he understood what it felt like to be powerless, laughed at, overlooked, not cruelly, but unrelentingly. The empire he thought belonged to him alone was redistributed quietly, legally, with precision. The people he trusted were loyal to me now. His confidence shattered in private. And my wife, she returned, expecting the same man she had mocked. Instead, she found someone elevated not by inherited wealth, but by control, intelligence, and mastery. Her smirk faltered. Curiosity replaced derision. Did you think I was a failure? I asked, voice low. No need for anger. Just truth. She didn't need to answer. The silence said it all. I sit now in my office, overlooking the city, the empire rebuilt, fortified, untouchable. My brother is a shadow in the public eye. A man whose laughter has been replaced by whispered consultations, whose smirks are now cautious. My wife watches me carefully, recalculating. Every interaction is measured, every gesture studied. She understands now what failure truly is. I keep the $10 bill in a frame above my desk. Not as a trophy, but as a reminder. My father's final lesson: look closer, think deeper, wait longer. Revenge is not chaos. Revenge is control. And control is power. I didn't cry. I didn't even shout. I waited, planned, executed. And now the silence is mine. And it is louder than any laugh. Because the moment they thought I had nothing was the moment I had everything. I light a cigar and watch the city shimmer in the night. The wind rattles the window. Every move, every decision, every betrayal has been accounted for. And they are all paying, not in public spectacle, but in the quiet, unbearable weight of consequences. I don't feel relief. I feel precision. I feel satisfaction. And I know deep down my father would have approved. The final lesson is simple: never underestimate the silent one. They are always planning, always calculating. And when they strike, they don't miss.